Okay, good morning, guys. Welcome to the session. And let me share my screen. Right, I'll go to my AWS console. And in last class, we have been talking about VPCs, right? Virtual private clouds. Yes, we are talking about VPC. We have created one VPC and adding subnets in it, right? I have removed those four subnets and added new subnet just to try. So here we are facing this one, right? The whatever the third octet. When we give this third octet a different one, AWS is giving some other number, and those numbers are multiples of 16. I didn't find a AWS documentation saying in any related things to that, but actually these pool of addresses for every network, there will be something called a subnet mask, and based on this, especially based on these two, you can calculate usable range of IP addresses. Let us search subnetting from IP address. Let's go with this only. Okay, sometimes you might when you see for subnet mask, if you go to your command prompt and say ipconfig, it will give lot of details. There it will also show you something called a subnet mask, which will be some 255.255, meaning our IP addresses are 32-bit addressing. That means each octet is a 32-bit octet. So 255 means if all are ones, then it's 255. So this bit bits, if they are all or ones, it's equivalent to 255. Okay, and see, this is class A, class B, and class C. How it depends of different networks. Class A, class B, class C, they have different subnet masks, and how you calculate based on these two numbers. See, based on these two numbers, you can decide the class, whether it's class A, class B, or class C, and depending upon the class, and depending upon these two, you can calculate usable range of IP addresses. And how to do that? Network addressing, see subnet mask calculator. Here it's not detailed. See, so to understand this, how AWS is assigning, I recommend to go through this, understand IP addressing, and then you can calculate usable range of IP addresses using this. See, understand subnetting, especially this. See, if your subnet mask is 204.17, you can and again that slash 20 or 28, based on that, there is a formula using that you can calculate usable range of IP addresses. All these, again, it will become too much. Say previously, what used to happen with AWS is, whenever we create a VPC, there is no issue. AWS creates a VPC with whatever CIDR range we gave there. And we know one thing, subnets are part of VPC, so that they should have this range lower than VPC range. I took VPC range as /16, and I know that my subnets has to took some other range which is smaller, because we are dividing, this range should not exceed 16, or the number of divisions put together, it should not cross 65,000 IP addresses. We know that accordingly we can give 20 or 32. We can check the range in the subnet calculator, and we are giving that. Sometimes AWS used to say overlapping error, and with trial and error method we used to assign. Suppose if 90 is not working, we used to try with 92 or 60 or 40.
Ma'am, good morning, ma'am. Sorry,
Yes, Imran.
Lakshmi is trying to log in, but
Okay,
she's
okay.
unable to.
Sorry, I didn't. Okay. Yes, coming back. Class B in your system. So there will be usable range of IPs. And yes, in that usable range of IPs, we don't know it because we are too much into, not that much into networking. We used to change that third octet. For some octets, we might get that error, overlapping error. We used to change it at some uh, point. It used to work, and I think it's a recent change. What's happening is, in that usable pool of IP, we cannot say IP, CIDR range, usable range of CIDR blocks, AWS is assigning a closer CIDR block for us. And again, it's happening in multiples of 16. It's assigning in multiples of 16. I tried with 80, I got 80. When I tried with some other number 100, I got 96. So using this 2, and using this range, actually, by applying the networking concepts, you can calculate the usable range. So not every octet is usable. Usable range of CIDR. So I think it's a recent change in our VPC. Uh, when you give some number, it's assigning a nearest usable octet here. Okay, and that's
That means it depends on like the first two octet.
yes, it depends upon the first 2 octets, and also depends on the range, based on this and this.
Okay.
Okay, and that is our subnets, and we already talked about subnets, right? Subnets are parts of VPC. We have divided our VPC into 2 parts. In my case, 2 subnets are there. Let me open this presentation. And we are talking about internet gateway also yesterday. Internet gateway allows traffic outside to the internet, and VPC without internet gateway cannot route traffic outside the internet. If you want a internet gateway to VPC, definitely. Why? Because again, you can make your subnets as public and private. So let us have an internet gateway to our VPC. So go here. Internet gateways. And one gateway is attached to the Mumbai's default VPC. Let us create internet gateway. We'll call it as my VPC. IGW means internet gateway. That's it. Just giving a name. If you want, you can add any additional tags. Create internet gateway. Very simple. And now we need to attach this with our VPC. Internet gateways. My VPC. Attach internet gateway. Say attached. And now my VPC can route traffic to the outside internet. But there is one more thing called as route table. I should also look into this route table. You need not create a route table for your VPC. By default, when you create VPC, there will be one route table. Where is our route table? This is my VPC. Here. Second one. And this one is Mumbai's VPC. This is also Mumbai's VPC, but it was created by me. This is not the default route table. This is a default route table. And this is my VPC's route table. And you can see name, if you want, we can give. This is my VPC route table. Route table ID. Subnet associations. As of now, no subnet associations. No edge associations. We already talked about edge, right? Edge locations, no edge associations. And it is main route table of your VPC. That means if you create any subnet or create any instance within this VPC, by default, this route table will apply to it. And you can add more route tables also. Yes, you can have more than one route table for VPC. So, and this is main route table. And what route table does? It routes traffic. This route table maintains algorithms, also routing tables with the list of devices, and routes the traffic inside the network and also outside the network. So without the route table within the network, uh, communication will not happen. It's wireless communication. If it is a wire communication, you will connect two endpoints of the wire and you know how it is traveling. And when it is wireless, you don't know how it's traveling. Routers, they calculate the nearest path, and they or deliver the packets from source to destination. So route table is important, and that's why when you create a VPC, by default there will be a route table. And if you look into the details of this route table, This is route table associated with this VPC, its main, and owner ID is nothing but my mark accounts ID here. Same thing we have here, we have it on details and routes. And here it is important. And as of now, this route table can route traffic within this range only. That means the 65,000 IP addresses which we talked about, right? This VPC, this within this VPC only, your route table can route traffic. Suppose there are 10 devices within this VPC, then route table can handle traffic within the VPC. All these 10 devices can communicate with each other within the VPC again. Why? Because destination is, see, this CIDR range. And this route table cannot route the traffic outside the VPC because there is no route. By default, the route table will have only one route, and we call it as private route. Why? Because this what it says, this route rule says saying that route the traffic within the VPC. So this route table now, this is without this any route cannot be happen. And again, this route table can handle traffic only within this. Now we want this route table to route the traffic outside the VPC also, that is to internet. And let's go here. What we have to say, edit routes. And by this time we already know what is the CIDR block of internet. 0 dot, this is this one. This is the CIDR block of internet. And how? You see, the first route says that route the traffic within this, and target is local VPC. And here I'm saying route the traffic on the internet. This is the CIDR range of the internet using internet gateway. And internet gateway. Right, it's coming like this. Yeah, this is my internet gateway. If we have one more internet gateway, then a list will come. But if you have two or three also, you can attach only one internet gateway at a time to your VPC. So let us choose this internet gateway. Right, what we are saying, route the traffic here using internet gateway and save changes. And then we have subnet associations. Now you can see it can route traffic in this area locally, target local VPC, and it can also handle traffic in this area, which is internet, using internet gateway. And subnet associations, no subnet associations as of now, but let us edit. I have two subnets, right? Let us add one subnet. Even though we have not, it says that there are no subnet associations, but this is main route table. Let us not cancel this. This is main route table. All subnets without any route table will be attached to main route table. See, the following subnets have been explicitly associated with any route table. We have not mentioned that these subnets are attached to any route table. So all such subnets by default uses main route table. So we have not mentioned it, but they are still using this route table because this is main route table. And this is public route table also. Just now we have made it public by adding this. And let's keep our one subnet as public and this subnet as private. How? Edit subnet associations. I'm adding this one, save associations. See, now this is a member of this route table, and this is also using the route table, but we can create one more route table and add this subnet to that route table. Let us do that. Go to route table. This is public route table, right? By default, this will be there. So without this, route table doesn't make any sense. So by default, this route will be there. And if you want to add any other route, not only public routes, sometimes if you want to allow certain networks only, you can edit routes and add certain networks only. And you can use security groups. So all these things. So if I say edit routes, so add route. Suppose I have a different VPC in the same account and I want this router to allow traffic from that VPC also. Still, the route table is private. It's not capable of routing traffic to internet, but suppose I have another VPC with 170. Let's say this is the CIDR range of that VPC. So this is CIDR range of the VPC. And here you have to tell using what. Using what it has to allow the traffic. We have various things. We have peering connection, a transit gateway. We will talk about them later. So for now, remove and save changes. So cancel. And this is our private route table. And subnet associations. No subnet associations. Edit. And I know that this is associated with public route. Let us associate here. Here and go back to route tables. See, now that is not there. Why? Because I have associated that subnet to a different route table. So here this subnet is is associated with public route table. So you can launch all your production servers or application servers in this subnet. And this is private route table. This subnet is associated with the route table, which can route traffic within the network. If you have any backend servers running any other microservices on them or database servers, which you don't want to expose to the internet. So what we will do, we will launch those instances in this subnet. Let's go to EC2. Launch instance. We know all these things, right? Number of instances 1, and the network, my VPC subnet. Here two subnets are there. I know this is public subnet and this is private subnet. So let us launch it in public subnet. And here one more thing is, you cannot leave this auto assign public IP with subnet setting. If you leave this, see, by default subnet setting is disable, it's not enable. For default subnets, by default subnet setting is enable. That means by default you'll get an public IP. You have to explicitly mention that you need a public IP because you're using your VPC. So you have to ask for public IP explicitly. Next, add storage, tags, security group. You can choose from existing security group. Okay, I don't have any security group in this VPC. So let's create one. And we know custom TCP rule is nothing but when you say 22, it will become the TCP rule, sorry, HTTP rule, but we also have HTTP rule. So let's say HTTP rule. Launch instance. This one. And here, if you observe, we got public IP address, but not DNS. So instance state is still pending. We don't got this DNS, right? Why? Because by default for your VPC, there will not be DHCP option set. My VPC, actions, see, edit DHCP option set is there, right? So by default, this is a DHCP option set. So if you I think I have edited this, but there will be no DHCP option set. So if you opt for DHCP option set, then you will get the DNS, and you can have your own DHCP option set too. And this is the default DHCP option set of AWS VPC. And what this DHCP option set is, it is required to bring in your DNS servers, etc. And all the EC2 instances, they'll get some DNS name as well as public IP, right? Who assigns that DNS name to them? This DHCP option set. By default, when you create a VPC, it might be using this, or there will be no DHCP option set. Go and check. If there is no DHCP option set, you can enable it. You can attach. So you can attach a DHCP option set. Now let's go and check. No DNS, but no private DNS and no public DNS. Let us start it once again. Stop. Instance state. And also I'll go to my VPC and check once again. Changes, okay. I think this is the new one. See now, this is there. This DNS is there. Internal DNS is there. Let's check if it is if public DNS comes or not. And where it helps is if you want to, if you're maintaining own VPC, if you want to bring in own domain names, if you have a registered domain name, that domain name will be having some DNS servers, etc. If you want give those DNS names to your EC2 instances, then you can create own DHCP option set and assign to your VPC. Let us go there and check. We have DHCP option set here. Create DHCP option set. See, set name, give any name. This is my VPC DHCP. Let's call it as my VPC hyphen DHCP. And domain name. I don't have any registered domain name. Let's say example.com. And now you can mention your domain name servers, NTP servers, and NetBIOS servers, all these things. What are all these things? When you have a registered domain name, that domain name will have some domain name servers. All the registered domain names will have some domain name servers. You can attach those domain name servers here. Say, for example, we have sites like the H. I don't remember the site name. So domain. name servers. So this DNS checker is there. Let us go with this. You can also use this. DNS checker is there. Let us give any URL. Let's say www.amazon.com. Check DNS propagation. See, what are all this? These are DNS servers actually. So here also, this is also the same thing. You can check uh, these DNS servers. So when you got and registered domain name, where you are actually getting registered in one of these DNS servers. And if you want to add any DNS servers, and why? Because you want a DNS name with your registered DNS name for your servers, then you can bring in your domain name servers. And similarly, there will be NTP servers and NetBIOS servers. NetBIOS servers are also like DNS servers, but they work in a private network, we can say, within the private range. And you can also see domain name servers are different and these are IP addressing are different. So we know, right, there will be public and private network. We can say NetBIOS is like a kind of a private, and DNS is a worldwide, a public works on public internet. And then NTP servers, which manages time. And when you are setting up a web application and you want to bring in your own things, so DHCP options allows you to bring in your domain name servers, NTP servers, and all these things. So let us go back. If not, we can go with the default DHCP option set which AWS has. And what it's doing, it assigns a DNS name, which is this. If you see, it will have AP South -1 compute.internal. All the DNS names will have this. So this is the DNS name. And let's go to EC2. One is running. No public DNS. No public IPv4 DNS. Why we have attached this DNS? It is there. It is attached. See, it assigns domain name for internal things, and it provides AWS provided DNS for public DNS. So we got only internal one, but not the public one. Okay, that's about DHCP. And then we talked about VPC, we know subnets, route tables, internet gateways, all these things. And next we have egress only internet gateways. What does that mean? It is like firewall at VPC level. So egress traffic, ingress traffic. There are two things, right? Ingress means traffic coming inside. Egress means traffic going outside. Remember security groups? We talked about security groups, right? Inbound rules, outbound rules. By default, for any EC2, all the outbound traffic is allowed, and you have to mention the inbound rules. You have to add the inbound rules. Security group, and inbound rules. We have added all these rules by default. All the inbound rules are denied except SSH. Why? Because we need virtual access. Except that, all other rules are denied, and all outbound rules are allowed. That means traffic can go outside, that means from the EC2, and what traffic should come inside, you have to allow that through your rules. And same way at VPC level, this is at instance level. We have created a virtual machine EC2, and at EC2 level, we call it a security group. This is our EC2 firewall, we can say. And at VPC level, what we have done, we have created VPC and added internet gateway. And this internet gateway allows traffic to go outside of your VPC and also come inside into your VPC, both the ways. Internet gateway, it allows both egress traffic, that means which goes outside, and also ingress traffic which comes inside, and all the traffic from the internet, that is internet gateway. But you don't want that for some reason, for privacy or security. All the instances and other services within the VPC, you don't want to allow all the traffic coming from outside into your VPC. So then what you can say, you can attach egress only internet gateway instead of internet gateway. Egress only means letting outside only, let traffic outside only. Egress only internet gateways. So create egress only internet gateway, give a name, select VPC, and create egress only internet gateway. Then only traffic goes outside of your VPC. Say my VPC. IEJ GW, I guess the extension is VPC. Let's say my VPC, create egress only internet gateway. But this, what it does, egress only internet gateway, it will not allow traffic to come inside your VPC. So we don't want this. Suppose we already attached to our VPC, and if we want to delete. Okay, and we know now how to create a EC2, how to launch a EC2 instance in our VPC. Now I have two subnets. One subnet is public, and another subnet is private. So let us edit the names. I know this is public subnet. So let us call it as public subnet. Save. And this one is private subnet. Let us also launch one more EC2 in private subnet. And I'll call it as public server or public EC2 instance. Let's say public instance. It has public IP address. And launch one more instance. In my VPC and in private subnet. And here you no need to go with enable or disable also. If you leave it like it, disable only, you can go and mention disable also. So enabling public IP address doesn't make any sense here. Why? Because subnet is not associated with public route table. If you enable, if you got a public IP also, route table doesn't have that rule. Even though EC2 instance, if it got a public IP, but route table cannot route the traffic outside the VPC, that is into the internet. This is my private subnet. So if it is enable or disable doesn't make any sense. If you edit your subnet, attach it to the public route table, then having a IP address might be helpful. Otherwise, if you want to keep your EC2 instance private, don't assign public IP. We are not assigning. Disable it. Next, add storage.
Last time we have enabled, I mean, because of like a route table was there. Right?
Yes, last time I have done that because route table has a public route and a subnet is attached to the public route table. Okay, previous, add HTTP rule or select this one. Even though we don't have option of routing to the outside internet, we have added HTTP rule. So you can route a traffic HTTP request or get HTTP response from other EC2 instances. And also we can use something called as NAT gateway, which we are going to discuss now. So let's say launch instance. And this is private instance, or you can call front end server, back end server. I'm calling it as private instance. Public instance is there in, let's go to public instance, is there in this subnet, which is public subnet. And private instance, it is using a private subnet. It is in private subnet. So what we have done, we have created a VPC, subnet 1, subnet 2. Let us call subnet 1 as private subnet. And this one as, so this is as public subnet. And this one as private subnet. So why we are doing this? Two use cases here. One use case is these are my application servers or front-end servers. My application is running here on this EC2 instances. All the traffic coming from the outside internet go through this internet gateway, and I also added a rule in this route table. So through this route table, it comes to our EC2 instances. And these EC2 instances, which are application servers, can also send response back using route table and internet gateway. And we know this. And I have private. subnet, and my database servers or backend servers are there in the private subnet. I don't want these database servers exposed to internet. So we have launched them in private subnet. This is one use case. And we know that your application server can access database server because they are in same VPC. And we know this. And here we have one more route table. So there is separate route table for private subnet. And this route table is attached to internet gateway and also have a rule to allow traffic outside the internet. And one more use case where people use public subnet, private subnet is sometimes they don't want to expose the server, application server directly to internet. What they'll do, they'll launch application server here in private subnet without any public IP. And they will launch one public server in public subnet, and these will act as jump servers or bastion servers. Jump servers. And let us call it as application server. So in this use case, traffic coming from the outside internet through this internet gateway will go here. If application server needs database server, it can access it through this private network, and we already discussed this. And then how here application server is in private subnet, and this jump server is in public subnet. And whenever, say, suppose abc.com is the website name, when someone says www.abc.com, first it will go to your route table, and your route table routes to the public subnet, and there is the jump server. And now jump server will route the traffic to the application server. And we know they can communicate with each other within the VPC. But there are some scenarios where these servers needs to get updates, especially in this use case. Suppose this is database server, you are maintaining some MySQL database or any other database you have installed, and that database application is running. There will be security patches, upgradations, which you OS level patches, and database upgradations which you need to do it. For to do those things, you this EC2 instance has to connect to internet. Suppose let's say it's this database server is running on Windows operating system, and there is a update. And how this EC2 instance will install that update? It has to connect to internet, it has to connect to Microsoft website, and get that update done. But it doesn't have a public IP, and also route table will not allow the traffic outside. So here you can use something called as NAT gateway. Like internet gateway, there is NAT gateway. NAT stands for network address translation. And this NAT gateway you'll launch here in your public subnet. Why? Because public subnet is attached to internet gateway as well as route table. So this is your NAT gateway. Now this server can connect to NAT gateway, and this NAT gateway uses this internet gateway and route table and route the traffic to the outside internet. This EC2 instance will not have public IP address, but it uses NAT gateway's public IP address. NAT gateway will have some public IP address. Using that, this server can connect to internet. Clear, guys, about NAT gateway? And we have one more thing called as NAT instance also. NAT instance. Either you can use NAT gateway or NAT instance. This NAT instance is nothing but your gem server. Those both are same. So let us call it as NAT instance. NAT gateways or AWS managed service. They are managed by AWS. And you have other option. You can launch one EC2 instance and make it as NAT instance. You can do it in two ways. So giving internet access to private servers can be done in two ways. One is NAT gateway and another one is NAT instance. So we will talk about this in our tomorrow's session. Okay, guys. See you tomorrow. Have good day, everyone, and bye bye. And if you have any doubts in today's session related to VPC, subnets, okay, we'll watch video.
I mean,
Okay,
again, we'll watch the recorded video one more time and we'll check it now
yeah,
because
sure.
we didn't try it, right?
Yes, yes,
So
please
once we
try.
try it, and yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then see you tomorrow, everyone. Bye bye.